Hey everybody, welcome to HIT.OR.DIE podcast, episode 61. We're here today with your guests, HIT.OR.DIE and Chad Rothford. We have a special guest today. He is the face of DIB.
Something like that.
Well, you are DIB.
DIB training, yes, for sure.
And Drew Mattos, thank you for coming on the show.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
This guy is a strength and conditioning coach, personal coach, a life coach,
Speed, a little mental skills,
everything, nutrition coach. I was fortunate enough when I was at City. He was the soccer coach with Oliver Jamon, and I did some training before I went to Oral Roberts, and I can actually say I was your first DIB client.
You were definitely the first paid client.
He was the first.
The first.
Number one.
That's him. First draft pick. That is true.
I'm not saying you're a liar.
No, I didn't even know that until I think you said it like after Pro Ball or something. I was already back, or maybe when we were working out when I was still trying to play after I got released with the Giants. We were working out with Garza and Halton and Walden, and
That was a good group.
That was a freaking great group.
We'll talk about that.
And I think that's when I got my chest out a little bit because he told them I was the first client. So,
Which was true. I'm not here trying to make stories up.
So
That's the reality.
but yeah, we're gonna get into just since the COVID's been going on, what these kids can be doing on their own to stay in shape and obviously eat right. As you can tell, we really do the eat right thing.
Yeah, I'm strict. Really strict with my plan.
This might be a little too often, but you're definitely eating.
But yeah, let's get right into it. You Washington Union,
Yes.
And then after that, you can kind of take us through your story.
Yeah, I mean, long story short, first and foremost, I'm an Easton guy. Still live out there, middle of the almond trees. I've been blessed because of sport to be able to do the things that I do today. And along that journey, I met some awesome people and been to some different places that I never would have dreamed of been able to go to because of sport. But yeah, Washington Union Valley champion, 99, before there was 6 divisions, when you had to get first or second to make the playoffs, and did that all on the road. Played at Memorial when they were a Division III school. And yeah, so from there, that kind of started, we talked about the physical part of it and the mental skills part of it. I would say that year I had my first kind of epiphany, which, at the time I wasn't going to share because I couldn't believe it happened. But I was fortunate to make a diving catch in that championship game that I visualized the night before. Sometimes you do those things and you don't think nothing of it, but later in life, diving into sports psychology and things like that, I was like, wow, I did that. And then, because when it happened, it was as I was running toward it, it was like, I'm catching this because I already did this. And when I did, I get goosebumps to this day, and being able to share that epiphany I had with younger people and be able to apply it in different aspects of life, not just baseball or soccer or football, whatever I was coaching, but just for people to grasp that, how powerful your mind is and your thoughts and the words you say, not just vocally, but to yourself are so important and imperative to understand that you could train that just like you can train strength in the gym. It's the same idea, that muscle between your ears. But yeah, from there, graduated from there, went to Cuesta for a minute, thought I was going to play, ended up just working at a furniture store for most of the day when I wasn't in school, and then started coaching at Washington Union. There, football, soccer, and baseball for 5 years. Did that. As some great coaches I got to work with there in different avenues. Chandler West, one of them, the late Chandler West in soccer, was a great mentor of mine. That opened the door for me to get into Fresno City, where if I never would have had that opportunity with Coach Germon with Fresno City women's soccer, I probably don't meet Solberg and meet all the baseball guys that I have. Obviously, I'm passionate about all sports, but got in there at 2004. Coaching junior college women's soccer, and I just had, some experience coaching club with Coach West, and then at the high school we had a really good run there for a few years. Played in Valley championships, won a couple of them, and for me, I just want to see kids from where I'm from have an opportunity, whether it was a 4-year school or even a junior college, to continue to play sport. Because I just from being around sports, from sport, the network, like both you guys, I'm sure can relate.
Yeah.
Like there's no way I'd met that person or been in that situation if it wasn't for sport to open the door. So that was kind of my motivation. So that's how I got to know Oliver. He'd come out to watch us play. I'd always talk to him because at the end of the day, I'm not reinventing the wheel. It's coaching sports and trying to be passionate about it so other people would be just as passionate, and end up opening that door, long story short. And from there, with my background coaching high school football, like film, you guys know that's all you do. I didn't go to sleep after the game Friday night. I watched film right away, Saturday, exchange, and then Sunday. So when I got with Oliver, I talked to him about video, and they said use it a little bit, but we kind of went full tilt with that because in soccer, if you're not a big soccer guy, it's what I like about it is the chess aspect. Baseball, same. Football, same. Obviously, football, you get stop, and baseball, you get stop and go. Soccer, you're rolling. You need to figure it out. And then the cardiovascular fitness and just the taxing of the mind. But taking the video into that and then, understanding there's some controllables in those scenarios and have our kids buy into those things. And, majority of athletes are visual learners, baseball, right? But then you have your weirdos, that the 2 or 3% that actually have to, kinesthetically do it or hear you describe it to make an adjustment, which frustrated me, I know, in coaching because I'm 100% visual. But be able to grasp on those aspects, into Fresno City women's soccer. And then from there, got to know Solberg. And they had some guys doing off-season training because with soccer, I did strength and conditioning, speed, nutrition, cardiovascular fitness, along with coaching. And I got the opportunity to work with baseball at Fresno City in the fall, do the fall training. That's obviously how I met Marcus and Brian and Zach and just a ton of guys. Sean at Fresno City. That's how we met Jerome Williams. It's really wild. But long story short, got there, started doing that in the off season, working with baseball, and always had a passion for baseball. Grew up with that in my family, just watching and listening to the Angels. I'm an oddball, SoCal guy, but Anaheim. And just got into the training, working with athletes. And after I graduated from Fresno State, I ended up going to Pacific and doing my master's in kines, which I did my project on training male and female athletes, since I was working with both and the different adaptations. And, obviously there's some differences, which in college is minimal. I always tell people, they ask what's the difference between men and women athletes. I say in college is sports bra and a jockstrap, because as you well know, there's some really aggressive, motivated humans, no matter what their gender may or may not be. But after doing that master's, it kind of opened me up to a bigger world of training. Got into just the, personal training / strength training. Mark Burgestan, owner or the founder of Athletes Performance, which is now Exos, was kind of my first, I wouldn't say mentor, but I got into his book heavy because it wasn't just training. It wasn't just, I'm going to holler and scream and throw weights around, which you've all seen that, strength and conditioning coach. But I was more educated to understand, this body versus that body, how are we going to make it work for them? So in baseball especially, it's I got a starting pitcher and I have, a first baseman. They both play baseball, but I'm not going to approach that the same as when it comes to training, especially in the cardiovascular situation. This first baseman needs to be quick right now. This pitcher needs to be able to go 100, 120 pitches, rest, recover, how he takes care of his body, rest. We talk about a ton, especially at least just drop the information to the high school kids. You cross your fingers. But so that kind of opened me up to that. And then while I was at City, classmate of mine, Matt Garza, approached me the off season where he got traded from the Twins to the Rays and asked me if I'd help him out in the off season. For sure. So started that, did a couple things at City, on the weekends, and had you, Marcus, Sean, you, Brian. Occasionally we'd have another 2 guys, but that group, and we talk about it to this day. One, you had Matt, who's here. He's there. He's in the show. You guys were at the fringe of the show, whether you were playing pro ball or just got drafted or independent ball, which is still pro ball. But it was great because for him, when we did anything, whether it was fitness or in the pool.
He loved the pool.
Oh, what a mess the pool was at GB3 over on Fowler. People would clear out. Because you had Halton, who swam like a riverboat. There's just water everywhere, which was awesome. And then you have Garza, who was more sleek-like, but no one wanted to lose. And that was the great thing about those off seasons was if you showed up, you got your fucking work in. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just kind of going to do this. It was very competitive, and that's what I loved about it. Because for me, it challenged me, like, how am I going to plan this day out so these guys don't kill each other, but at the same time, be competitive enough that they leave here wanting to come back to try to win the next day. You know, we didn't see each other every day, but it was like every other day, Tuesday, Thursday, sometimes Saturday. But did that for a couple years, at least 2 years, 3 years where we go GB3 and then do a little fitness somewhere. And which I coached at City for 9 years. 2010, I did play. Remember that?
Did play at City. Baseball.
I was going to say, I was reading some
baseball.
stuff, and I was like,
So-
I played in 2010. That's a little gap.
Yeah, it was a little 10-year, 11-year gap. But again, it was because of that group. So we'd get done at GB3, and I go hit with Halton in the cages before there was the Ted Lilly,
Right,
the Ted Lilly
facility.
tent. And it was just leaves everywhere. So we call it Leaflandia. He'll laugh when he hears that. But we go hit in Leaflandia, and sometimes Brian would get in there with me. And for me, it was a blessing because I'm here sharing the info that I've gleaned, you know, in my 25, almost 30 years at that time, 29. And then they would share with me things that they've learned, you know, to help me apply it. And for me, it was huge because, again, we'll get back to the mental side of it. When I played in a few fall games that year at City, it was like a brand new world when I was in the hole to on deck. In high school, I'm going up there, and I hope I get heater early because I got that. But the hammer, I did not see the hammer early. I saw it late, and it was too late most of the time. I mean, here's case in point. I'm a straight shooter. You guys know me. Memorial, first AB in the Valley Final, line drive seed up the middle. First pitch heater. I was hitting ninth that day. Next time at bat, I didn't see a heater. It was fucking out. It was out. Third at bat, fucking out.
They figured it.
Right, exactly. But now, fast forward, boom, 29 years old. I've been watching baseball every day, multiple games. I'm like you, junkie. It's tough right now. I feel you. But through that, seeing all those repetitions, and now we have the super slow-mo camera, seeing spin, seeing it pop out of the hand. Like, to be able to go back and do that 11 years later, thank you, God. So I'm excited, like understanding like how your mind works, heart rate, breathing patterns we'll get into. On my first AB, I saw a curveball early. I like stepped out and was like, I saw that shit out of the hand. Like, where was this 11 years ago? So being able to do that, and then in the springtime, taking those things, and we'll get into that right now, is the mental side of it. So you can get in the gym, right? We're not reinventing the wheel. You need to have strength. You need to be mobile. You need to be flexible, all those things when it comes to being a ball player. But how do you separate yourself at the next level? You guys can attest to this. You're at ORU or with the Giants, like everyone's fucking good physically, right? Mm-hmm. They might come from a different country, which is great and it's competitive. But how do you separate yourself between the ears? And I'm real passionate about it because working at City, I'm out with soccer, especially I'm out recruiting from Avenal to Yosemite to Bakersfield. So there's kids from all these other backgrounds that some play clubs, some just play barefoot in the street. But then when you put them in an environment that has the weight room and that has the film and the video, like, are they open to making adjustments? Can they handle adversity? That's a big one.
Yeah, some have never been tested like that.
Right, because you're in a small pond fucking balling. It's easy, right? And you and I both know after traveling and being able to see the things, the pond's large. And
especially around here.
Yeah, 100%. So for me, I really got into like the Kinder Visa, big baseball sports site guy, big Joe Madden guy, right? So with Garza, with Tampa, got to meet Joe early. Even Dave Martinez was his bench coach at the time. Big soccer guy, by the way. But so those things got me into having combos with those guys, which one I remember distinctly in Miami after Stanton hit a ball about 400 feet off Garza at Joe Robbie on Vuvuzela night. Never go to that. It's just loud the whole time. But being able to talk to them and glean from those, just listen. Like, yeah, we talk some, but just listen because I know their experience is way beyond mine. and then be able to take that and then run with it and start to share it with the people that I know here locally, because that's what I'm passionate about. So just understanding, like, you control what you think about. Everyone that knows me knows where I'm going to go with this right now. But if your brain doesn't work in do and don't. So back to, if I'm in the on deck circle, if I'm thinking about not striking out, right? Like if I told you guys right now, don't picture a white bear, what do you picture?
A white bear.
Simple, right? It's obvious. It's like, duh.
I wanted to say something else.
Right.
I know, but the first thing that comes in your head
It's automatic because you're a human being. So if I'm in the on deck circle thinking about not striking out, ultimately I'm thinking about striking out. Right. Versus I can hit fucking pause and think about, I'm getting heater middle away from me, from my vehicle, because I'll smoke that to right center, especially down a little bit, right? So for me, that's my hot spot. So that's what I'm visualizing. Right? Not just visualizing like I'm watching on that computer screen. I'm visualizing through my own eyes. Out of the slot, barrel, bang, good feeling, where it's real light off the barrel. You know the one, right? And in my handful of ABs, and mind you, I didn't face Verlander. I wasn't facing Marcus, right? But the few 10 ABs I had, 11 plate appearances, dude from COS fucking drilled me. I had 2 strikes though, so it was cool. But I went 5 for 10, right? Put a ball in play every time. Knocked in a few runs. My goal was just to steal a bag. I was 0 for 1 on that. I got picked. They picked fucking 3 times in a row. But from that, being able to take that, like I said, that little subset research project of, I went up there comfortable every time. I went up there confident every time because of what's between my ears. I wasn't a brand new human from when I punched out 3 times and had a single in the Valley Final. But because of that information that I processed and made adjustments, because when you're up there and you're anxious, right? You guys both know you've been in situations where you got anxious, right? Heart rate fucking through the roof. Yep. What happens to that? Body temperature, muscle tension, for sure, tighter. Blood flow, like blood pressure goes up, muscles get tighter. It's just that's the way it works. So for me, boom, if I can control my heart rate, my blood pressure is going to stay cool, my muscles is going to be relaxed. Because when you hit whether you're hitting a baseball, a golf ball, whatever, when you're comfortable and confident, it's your fucking machine.
Well, I always say relaxed muscles are quick muscles. 100%.
We talk about a little speed stuff, right? Mm-hmm. They react way quicker than if, you had really spicy Mexican food and you just got on the toilet. You're going to be a little nervous. Right? This is me. Everyone knows me. But when you say those things, because they're real, because we've all experienced them, to be able to understand, I can hit pause. When I was in junior high and even my freshman year in high school, I would get so anxious for sports that sometimes I'd throw up. And I'm not embarrassed to say that. It wasn't because I was scared to play. I just wanted to do well. And that wasn't coming from, like, my dad wasn't like, hey, you need to do well. And I can't speak for anyone else. But for me, it's because I wanted to do well. I didn't know why I threw up. But I knew after I threw up, I felt good. So come to find out, it's between my ears, right? I was essentially getting myself so anxious that I would throw up. Sophomore, junior year, you learn how to figure that out. But I didn't really figure it out until I was in my early 20s. Like, I can hit pause. Like, I've done this 100,000 times. My body knows how to do this. You can hit a heater left-handed for sure in your sleep, right? Mm-hmm. But how often you get those scenarios and then there's outside noise that you can't hit quiet on, which I share with kids too, right? Especially youth sports. You guys know I work in youth sports. Is the only people that are important are in here. Majority of the people watching sports have never been in that environment. I know you'll get fired about that, which is great, and we grasp that. So, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but average humans aren't going to get it, right? You watch the Jordan documentary, loved it. I'm not comparing myself to Jordan at all, not at all. But the mindset, right? The mindset is, yeah, that's why he was successful. Yeah, he was athletic, but he was a grinder. He competed all the time. I think my favorite one's when they're in the Olympics and the practice game.
Talking trash.
Oh.
Getting at it.
But nobody wanted to lose. You got the best players in the world.
100,
don't want to lose.
100%.
And he even got in their head.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you're talking about like the
15
Johnson best in the world.
Yeah. And people were like, oh, he's kind of a dick. Like, have you met someone successful in sport that wasn't kind of a dick? I'll wait.
Yeah, no,
I'll wait.
Tim Tebow is the only one I can think of. But we don't know. He might have been on the football field.
Exactly. Yeah. My man was competitive.
I mean, he had to be. He might not have cussed at you, but he put you in your place.
I guarantee if you're playing ping pong with Tim Tebow, he's not going to let you win.
True.
Right. Yeah, he might use different verbiage, but to each his own. To each his own. And, I think about like Like, and I don't put him on blast, but Garza, I love him, but he's kind of a dick. But that's why he was successful. He knows I love him. Okay, Marcus, when he's kind of a dick, but that's why he's successful. Because if you're a little bit,
when you're saying kind of a dick, so people don't. It's when we're in training mode.
When you're working.
It's not
like
about.
Hey, how you doing?
I just met you for the first time.
No, it's like when we're in the grind.
When you're working out, when you know,
because they don't want to lose. They just don't want to lose.
Yeah, some of my favorite times at the academy with the boys is in the off season. I think 3 years ago, I have a video of it on my phone. Marcus is working on the slider, and Brian's talking with him. I'm just sitting on one of the side mounts, just listening because I love that environment. Like Mark is making adjustments, like on the gnat's ass, where he puts his finger on the ball. Average people, not a big deal to them because you're not a grinder, and that's okay. It makes the world go round. But seeing that in December, or excuse me, it was January, it's cold as shit, and he's adjusting his fingertip on a gnat's ass to get that slider to bite a little more, and then you watch it the next year and it fucking worked.
Yeah.
It's like, it gets me fired up now. It's like little things like to be able to share that with, you know, whether it's a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 22-year-old is like, look, you could say this and that, I'm doing this and that, but are you really, when no one's around in January on a Tuesday afternoon, like, are you really doing that? It's a rhetorical question, all right? You don't need to answer it. You know, your inner voice is telling you yes or no. So, and you know, like I said, the mental thing, I got real passionate about it because I saw kids who might not have had the physical ability initially played a lot longer, whether it was just going to college and getting their degree paid for. And then you have that kid that was really physically talented, that got comfortable in it. And then when they got, like, they're over it.
It's a work ethic thing.
Are you really up for the grind, or do you
I've
just
seen
like,
it. Just doing it as long as I've done it. I've seen a lot of kids that have been told they're good from that age.
It's a little bit of a curse.
Fizz out. Mm-hmm. I'm just tired. I'm tired.
I noticed it a lot. I mean, coaching at Madera for 7 years, we have the kids that are at a lower level that want to buy in and work hard, and then going to Clovis West the last couple of years. Not saying everybody, but there's the few that are like, dude, he's got what it takes talent-wise, but he's not tough enough working hard enough.
Hey, you want to talk about spectrum? You're Madera C-Dub, beautiful. I was at Union, coaching at Union, right? We know the demographic there, and I'm so thankful that I went there. You know, with everything that's going on in the world today is like, for me, you're a human being. Are you trustworthy? Do you work hard? Are you honest? We're cool. I don't care your skin tone. I'm not about that life. You know, and then thinking about where people come from, like when I was coaching there, you go pick kids up, or like, where you staying? At this place. You go back the next time, it's a different place. You know, and when you're little and you're young and you're in your home environment, you think everyone's like that because you don't know.
Don't know any better.
You don't have any, you know, and to see those kids like grasp, like, hey, I can use this vehicle of sport to get me in a better scenario is a really empowering thing. And there's no monetary thing that is better than that for me. And I know that's what I got into coaching for, is to see that, you know, be so passionate about what I do that empowers other people to be passionate for others. You know, it's really, you know, invigorating to see that occur from day one to the next. Because I was at Union, and then my cousin was coaching at Fresno Christian, where both my sisters went, private school, small school. They needed help with baseball one year, so I helped out. That's a big spectrum there, and it's just different. Obviously, you know, it goes without being said. You know, when you're asking a kid to do something versus you have this kid, like I said, going to a different house every day, but he knows you give a shit about him, genuinely give a shit about him, and want to see him be successful, not just for football that Friday night, but like Saturday, like, hey, let's hang out. If you want to come out, we'll throw the football around or watch a film or whatever. I'm down. I'll do whatever it takes to help you out, to put you in a better situation, versus I expect you to help me out because
you're my coach.
Exactly.
Yeah, it goes beyond a job.
And yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, I get that.
And the even tougher thing was when I was at City, I still was coaching one more year in high school, and that was the toughest transition ever because here in Central California, high school soccer is in the winter. which in college everywhere it's in the fall. Some parts of California it's in the fall, and some parts it's in the spring. But tough transition when you go from the machine that we have and continues to go at Fresno City, where if you miss a day of practice, sorry about you. Someone else got your job. And then you're back to high school, like, I was good last year, so I don't want to get into that. But it's a tough transition. Don't ever do it. Once you get to college, maybe help out with high school, but it's a tough transition. But still love all my experiences there. Moving forward into the mental skills stuff. Again, it was soccer that got me even more into it, because we'd go to Oliver and I, sometimes Sully, would go to coaches convention. 90% of the time, the East Coast, Philly, Baltimore, Indianapolis. But they have different sessions going on, whether it's like a field session, coaching classroom session, strength and conditioning session, which was great. I got to go to Exos one year because I met a guy that worked at Exos in Phoenix. But I walked into a sports psych one. And because I dabbled in it, right, I had my experiences. But to be in there with 200 plus coaches, and he did a little experiment, and I was sitting not front row center, but I was middle, because I listened in college, and you're in the middle, you gain the most information. Not the dumbest guy I know.
Good student.
Yep. So he asked for a volunteer, so I'm like, hell yeah. Easton guy living in Almond Orchard, let's get it. So he's like, all right, I'm going to have you sing the national anthem. Right? So me, I'm like, hey, I've been to plenty of sporting events, like, not a problem. I'm not going to be good, but I can at least get it going. So he starts talking, right? And because when he said that, the people around me are looking at me like, right? Because that's what he wanted, right? In hindsight, so you get the heart rate,
pressure,
you get the sweaty palms, right? Exactly. We'll talk about that right now. The perception, right, of I'm nervous, right? And he said 3, 2, 1. And as soon as I started, he said, all right, good. I just wanted everyone to experience it. He said, you had people next to you that their heart rate went up and they got nervous and they weren't even going to sing. They're just by you, So from that, when you say pressure, which is great. So pressure and perception. Which one do you think is real?
I think pressure is real for me, and that's just coming from baseball and
I
being
was
in
going
those
to say
situations.
the same thing, pressure.
So I'll share this with you. For me, I believe in pressure in my tires in my car, because I know there's air pressure in there, for sure, and water pressure, because I've been hit with a water hose and a water gun. Other than that, it's perception. If you're up in the 9th inning of a game at ORU with a runner at third and 2 outs, and you guys are tied, is that a pressure situation, or is that where you fucking want to be? Is that a perception?
No, I get it. Because to everybody, it's a pressure situation.
The average humans are nervous.
But even like as a player, you think, okay,
Well,
this is a pressure situation, but I want to be the guy up at the plate right now.
But it also takes getting to that point, because I've seen kids, I've seen the pitcher in the 7th. It was pressure.
Yeah.
It's how do you get to?
Was it though, or was it because between his ears he let his mind run of, oh shit, I hope I get out of this?
I mean,
so it's their own perception.
100%, but it's trained. It's trained.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You got to get to a mental point to where it
doesn't bother you.
Right.
100%. It's like, again, we go back to Jordan. Like, he perceived that as fun times. Now, did he win every time? No. But if you perceive that as, this is where I want to be and I love this situation and I know how to control my breathing to keep my heart rate down, you're going to have success way more. It's not 100% foolproof. But if you go up there and you hope some crazy shit doesn't happen and you don't mess up, well, that's going to show up. You might as well leave the bat in the dugout and just hope you wear one on the shoulder. But and it's the same thing if you're on the mound. Like, if you're on the mound and you're not like, I want to be here. I love to be. This is why I work all the time when no one's watching, is to be here. No one goes in the gym or runs or, does fitness because they want to watch.
Well, and that, it goes to, like, that's why you need to practice at that level. You need to have that speed. You need to have that competition during your practices, because some kids don't get in that situation.
100%.
So you can go 4 years in high school. In my senior year, that's my first time with 2nd and 3rd 2 outs in the 7th, and I've never done it.
Right.
Well, as coaches, that's our job, and we've talked about with Ken Ravizza and some of this mental stuff. It has to start getting down to these younger kids, because
1,000%.
You can't always put them in that situation. You can practice it enough But even that isn't.
But that's like the mindset of. Well, I've been in this situation 20 times. Right. Maybe not this exact one,
but it's not foreign.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not like, oh crap, I've never done this before.
Exactly.
Now it's
I would imagine most of our 8th graders, incoming freshmen, haven't even.
Which is fine.
But that's where we need to get this stuff.
And that's and I'll get into this more. I'm sorry, my passion comes out, but
it's all good, man.
Like at City, when you guys Intersquad, when we play a game called Flying Change, a small-sided soccer game. But people would fight. Love that shit because you don't see that too much on the female side of athletics. Oliver awesome too. Like I'm cool. Fight a little bit. Because you find out who do I want in there in the 88th minute of a soccer match? Who do I want in there in the 9th? Who's willing to literally fight? I'm not saying that. Once the game's over, we're cool. We're good. You're playing Intersquad, red and white Intersquad at City. You guys are talking shit and getting after it, which is you should do. There's good shit talkers your year and right after. Real good ones.
Good ones. Yeah.
Real good ones.
I think from 04 to 07.
Absolutely.
The best.
Great. Well, I sat in the dugout because of that. And that sport is like when you're going, like, let's give everything we got to be successful here. I didn't, like I tell these guys, we didn't wake up early when we were working with Garza and Brian, you and Marcus because we wanted to be regular. I'm not waking up at 5:30 going to the gym on a Tuesday because I want to be average. Right? So am I gleaning everything to make my game as competitive as possible and put myself in those situations that the average human perceives as pressure, but I know this is where I want to be. Let's get it.
How do you – I don't want to shift gears too far.
Go ahead.
But how do we now going forward with today's climate and what the changes that are going to happen? Because I've already heard some things that are really going to change athletics, especially at the high school level with what's gone on the last few months. If things aren't being played for, I've heard a potential.
Like there's no Valley championship game, no postseason for high school sports.
It's a sad day in America.
Because what do we coach for these kids to play for at times?
Yeah, there's no it's
literally. I don't know it right now. It's
for what?
Hearsay.
It's just words. It's just
that would be really unfortunate.
It's out there, but to even think that's a possibility, how do you're going to lose high school sports altogether? You're going to have it's all going to be AAU basketball, travel baseball, travel rec, club soccer.
Right.
You're not going to have high school sports.
It's that would be unfortunate, and even I get there's more high schools, so there's I'm gonna get into the CIF situation, but like that's what I remember my senior year. Like 2 weeks for the end of the season, like we have to like win games. We're not we were cool, so we're in. Like we had to win the last game, to get in.
Was your 03 like that? I know when I'm in high school. Well, I'm saying okay, so then it was.
Right, but from that, perfect example, 99, it was me and 2 other seniors, and we had a great underclass, awesome dudes to this day. Next year, they didn't get in, which was fine. They didn't play good enough, and I'd say that with them sitting right here, and they know that, so it wasn't like, we just had to cruise and then you turn it on. Like, no, like winning that year, and I'm very thankful, that started me to be like, hey, look, you don't necessarily have to be the best athlete, but your team's got to buy in, right? Like that year, we had dudes that got in fights on weekends. We're on the same team, but when we were on the field, it was like, let's go. Different backgrounds, different colors, different backgrounds.
Yeah, but I need that guy.
Yeah,
and that guy needs that guy.
And everyone knew their role, but that was back in the day. Like I remember a great story. I won't say the coach's name, but we weren't hustling the outfielders when we were doing sprints, and he chucked the fungo at us. He didn't chuck it at us to hit us, but just to get his point across. And we weren't mad. I didn't go home and
your effort wasn't okay.
Yeah, and we laughed and ran faster. I didn't go home and hey, mom and dad, dude, somebody threw it. No, I just ran faster. It was funny. And to this day,
that would not happen today.
Right, but that's
you'd be fired or called in the office the next day.
Right, but it's just a different mindset because we knew where he was coming from, right? He was wanting us to work harder because he knew what it take to be successful, and that's what I gleaned from it. you know, but that's where I feel like I'm kind of old school now. I'm about to flip 40 here in a couple months, but trying to, you know, when you're talking about no playoffs and just playing to play is like, that's a sad deal if that comes to fruition.
I mean, I don't know how it's going to work, but you could tell me if I'm wrong if you didn't see it, or if you did see it, that the Mountain West already
they took
smashed
away
the baseball
championship or whatever,
but that's
for next year, like 10 months away.
But Fresno State only qualifies for postseason play if they win their tournament.
Yeah.
So how is coach? I mean, what's there to motivate those guys to put in an entire fall and to kill it in the classroom? I mean, that's different. It's great at that point.
Yeah.
That's your future, but that
Like,
doesn't
what are
make
you playing for?
Yeah, what are you playing for?
Because I remember at ORU, I mean, coming from a mid-major, I didn't even know who Oral Roberts was, you know, before I went out there. And, you know, we, as a group, we're like, okay, we play in probably the worst Division I conference in the country.
Which is out of your control, but
yeah,
go ahead.
So what do we have to do
Right.
to make it to the postseason and get seen? You know, and that's where, you know, I was fortunate enough at that time. Had a lot of California JUCO guys, and we came from.
Oh, Jake, I remember Jake.
Yeah, we came from, you know, obviously different backgrounds and stuff, but we were Cali guys. We were,
Right.
you know, we stuck together.
JUCO Cali guys.
JUCO Cali guys. It's different. It's a different animal. You know, we were just like, we got to win. We got to beat everybody, you know, as if we're the number one team in the country. So I couldn't imagine them saying, okay, you guys there's no way you getting into the regionals this year, but have fun. So
again, like we said earlier,
No,
that's where getting this between the ears stuff, it would have helped some of these kids this year, emotionally.
Oh, for sure.
Going into next year, and because a lot of kids may have not known how to handle some of this stuff that's going on.
It's not even maybe, it's for sure. I mean, we don't even know that. I mean, you guys tell me, just not having baseball to watch is a tough show. I mean, Korea, that's cool, but that's not our show.
We were talking earlier. I'm to the point now where I don't.
Well, that's just because of nobody's coming to an agreement.
Right.
You know, and
two sides.
I feel bad for players like we were talking about Marcus, that, you know, you got these big leaguers that are on the lower end of the pay scale that are like, and age-wise, it's like, dude, I need to play.
100%.
I want to play. I don't care. I'll play.
Well, we had him on. You know what I mean? I know where he's at, and then Loop too. And
Yep.
And it's frustrating to see that stuff.
To get back, not to take away from that, but to get back, like strength and conditioning, so start doing that. You remember at City when it used to be the training room? When it was Scotty's
his old training room.
Yeah, so for me, that really helped me work with large groups, because I had to work with 25 women in probably 2.5 of these offices and make it work right now. Small. I got 45 minutes, go.
3 of us in here are small.
So, but then they eventually built the nice facility. But always, for me, it was like, how can I do something every 6 months to help this machine be a little more effective? Because I feel like whatever you're doing, if you feel like you know everything already to do, you should do something else. There's always something you can tick or tinker with a little bit, whether it's individual training, strength training, hitting lesson, whatever. There's different ways to get the my buddy said it one time, there's different ways to add 2 numbers that equal 10. Right? This guy like 5 + 5 = 10. It's the only way to do it. Like, bruh, it's 7 + 3. Right? We laugh and joke, but you know, if you think you're reinventing the wheel as a trainer, I'm done listening to you, because we're not reinventing the wheel. You're just finding different ways to make the wheel roll. Right? So for me, it's the first and foremost, just show up. You show up. Are you showing up every day you're supposed to show up? 2, do you understand your body? Are you ready to put weight on your back in a back squat or do a deadlift? You know, that's something like working at the academy early is we test a lot of kids. And I was coach and in high school at one time. You know, sometimes they get in there like, oh, we're all doing this. Like, dude, this body, this spine is not ready to put 225 on it. And then, you know, 3 weeks later, oh, my back's fucked up. Yeah. And that's where my heart kind of hurts for some of those kids, is like we test them out and be like, hey, you're just doing this corrective exercise for the next couple weeks. until we show some improvement, versus they go into high school. It's like A, B, C, and D. Everyone needs to get it done. Chad, you're working with Drew. Like, I like Chad a lot, but we're different. I shouldn't be doing what Chad's doing. Chad shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. And that's the tough part with working some of these, high school kids and even junior high kids is they get thrown into, you got to do this. So for me, it was like share info. If your body's not ready, coach might, I might talk a little shit to you, but that's better than you being on the DL for 2 months because you threw 220 on your back. So when we do stuff there, it was like, let's break our guys up into, one body composition that's close to the same when we were doing stuff over there. And even for myself, and how's their hip mobility, right? Hip and shoulder, baseball, big time. If your hips don't work good, I guarantee your shoulder's not going to work good either, and vice versa. So before we get into mechanics, we got to make sure this vehicle moves good before we can tinker with, the carburetor. And sometimes you get people, like, especially now with social media is a big thing. It's like, oh, I did this, and then like, bro, he's about a day away from something exploding in his shoulder or his elbow because his body's just not ready to move that way. So that's and again, I'm not here like I'm the end all be all, but based on my experience and being humble to that experience is like, look at yourself as an individual vehicle, right? This is Chad Rothford's vehicle. You don't get any. You can't go to Dick's Sporting Goods to get any new parts yet. I'm sure we're not far from that. But how am I going to make this vehicle work as efficiently as possible to do what I need to do on the baseball field? Like I said, you pitcher, hitter, third baseman, center fielder, shortstop, catcher. Catcher like Hayden. Work with Hayden's hips a lot. You got tight hips. He's down there in them a lot. He needs to have mobile hips that don't bite him every once in a while. So that just looking at it as an individual versus just get in here and rah, lift, which again, we've seen those environments where like after you put some education in your brain, you're like, oh shit. Like you're going to, or my favorite is like lift, go sprint. Like you might as well just cut hamstrings out because they're going to pop when you just fatigue them and then you ask them to sprint and stop hard. Like that was, conversations that I had with Coach Scott with doing the speed stuff. Even when I was 2010, dressing out, doing all the work, I did go to every class. I had to take 12 units for the record. But in the wintertime, early in the season, it was like, be a little cautious when, maybe we, fucked up and we had to do some sprints or something. I just share info. Again, I'm not running the show. I'm just sharing info. Like, let's be a little cautious with our quads and our hamstrings. Had a pretty tough lift day, the day before. Guys are fatigued. If a guy ate shitty. If a guy drank some bullshit. Didn't get enough sleep. All these things play in. It's not, oh, this guy always has chronic, whatever it is. It's like, no, he makes bad decisions regularly that leads to that issue. Mm-hmm. And again, if you're someone who wants to play baseball as long as you can, like, are you thinking about those things? And there's humans I work with that just naturally, like, athletic build. They can go to Taco Bell every day and be athletic. But eventually, it may not be externally. Internally, something's going to fatigue and it's going to go. It's, you got Dale Jr. right here looking at me. If you put two NASCARs next to each other and you put one with racing fuel and one with the cheapest fuel, which one's going to win the race?
Racing fuel.
Easy answer. But how often do we just put whatever in our body and expect us to play well? I mean, my case in point, in high school, I eat a big bag of Doritos at lunch and think I was going to play a football game. You're going to get cramps for sure. And not have enough energy by the third quarter, right? And there's that moment where I'm like, what an idiot, but I didn't know any better. I didn't have myself telling myself, make an adjustment in that. But again, especially with baseball, people think like, oh, it's not that tough, but it's a grind day in, day out. Yeah. And as you get older, like right now in high school, you're playing 2, maybe 3 games a week early in the year. And you go to college, you're playing 3, 4, 5, right? You go to pro ball, you're playing 6, 7 days a week, sometimes 20 days in a row. You better take care of your body or someone else is going to step in front. Like I talked about, it gets competitive. So, are you going out of your way to take care of your body so it can perform the functions that you need it to play the game you love to play?
I think, I do this a lot for players to get information to players. And I've heard a lot of stuff that honestly, I think coaches need to hear. Because I've been guilty, especially in the past, not so much now. Because I've learned more, but that coach in the weight room that's like, shut up, dude, come on.
We've all seen him, and it's I'm not saying here bashing that dude, But if you're an educated human,
Right. We don't know any better.
there's a different way to do this, especially if I know I have a pre-existing, like, I'm not trying to be a little punk, but I know my body's not ready to do that yet. I want to do it. Don't get me wrong. I want to be able to get there, but there's a more intelligent way to get to 10, right?
Yeah, and listen to your players.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like I said, like, is this kid genuine? Is this kid grinding his ass off at practice all the time? He's on time all the time, and he's coming to me saying, "Hey, I have an issue." I'm cool with that. If this dude BSing, showing up late, giving me lip, now I'm a little like, I don't know. But again, you make your own bed. You know, if you're an educated human, even if you're a high school kid, you know, if I grind and keep my mouth shut, eventually you're going to get an opportunity, and you'll be ready for that opportunity. It's not, I'm going to beg and have my mom call in. That's not going to get it done. And it might hurt some feelings, but I'll shoot you straight. Like, eventually it's going to get it done. Like I said, even in high school, there's kids I coach in football that at the time they were the 5th receiver, 4th DB, and fucking played in JUCO. And that's what I love about what I do. I'll go watch him. Like, I'll pull for that guy because he's an absolute grinder. I know being able to, watch you when you guys played at Long Beach State, like, that's the fun of, like, DIB training that I've been blessed, is to go see people do what they do. And for me to help them, at the end of the day, I don't think I made anybody worse, thankfully. But to be able to see them do that and have fun doing it, whether it was a soccer player at University of Mobile or, Vanguard, or a baseball player, or you and Brandon King. I watched Brandon King play at Alabama. It's the first time I've been to Alabama. Beautiful facilities, right? Because he was at ORU. I was in Montgomery visiting Zach, right? So I've been blessed to see, not just the Central Valley, California major schools. When you're a kid, like, Fresno City, Reedley, Fresno State, UCLA, USC, and then you go, ORU, and then all the small private schools. I love California kids. I can't wait to get a California kid. There's a couple kids I went to McPherson that have come through DIB that they didn't know that school existed. That school didn't know they existed, but because they put in some work and are in the network, like, they have a chance to continue to play and get school paid for. Win-win.
So what's going on now? Where are you at now? What's
So as of the end of February, with the baseball academy, I'm more like a senior advisor now. Obviously, people have been around there; they know that, and that's Brian, Marcus, Zach. We are all good. There's no issue there. For me, the last 5 years, I put my whole heart and soul into DIB Baseball Academy, and just decided come February, right before the COVID situation, that I was going to kind of take a step back anyway. And I'll still pop in there once a week and, talk with them if they need, any help with, understanding kind of how things were getting run. I'll still help out there, but I'm just doing my individual training stuff, just locally, trying to keep it minimum, obviously be smart about what I do. So other than that, usually this time of the year, like, I'd have gone to watch Marcus a few times, which is what I love to do, and it's funny because people would ask, I'm a big Rams fan too. And I've been able to see some cool games and be in some cool stadiums, and people are like, why you always go do that stuff? It's like, when I was a little kid, like, I never went to an NFL game. And then, having the experience I had, starting with Garza and Marcus and Sean and Jerome, and then with the Rams, I got to know a few people because I've been to quite a few road games. So there's that one dude again. And that one dude never asks for shit. He just says, what's up? And then the beautiful thing of social media, you get to talk to these regular, And so it's been cool to, like, see that organization, which I've been a fan since I was little, grow and be at these sporting events like Marcus. Like, for me and Brian to be there when he made his debut, like, I had goosebumps right now. And then the next year, he didn't break camp, but he got called up on a weekend when we were free, and we flew to Phoenix. And not only did he get a dub, he got a plate appearance, which we were joking about. We were, no bullshit, joking about it the night before because they were playing the Diamondbacks. And sure enough, Brian's like, he's fucking going up. And I was like, oh my God. So we were down close, and we got, like, right by the screen. That video's hilarious because we were, like, laughing the whole time. And then the dude catching was the guy that caught him 2 years earlier in Rochester. So it was like, slap yourself in the face. I got one story about with Garza and Halton. So when Garza was with Tampa, Halton was in Brevard County, Advanced A for the Brewers. And Advanced A All-Star breaks earlier. It's a little shorter season. So we were in Tampa. He drove over and hung out for the day and a half that he could. And 2 a.m. after, I think they played the Marlins, because we went out with Ugla that night. Classic guy, Dan Ugla. And at that time, Kapler was playing with the Rays. He didn't go out because he'd take care of his body. But we're in Garza's kitchen, and him and Halton are bantering back and forth, like, when I faced you, this, that, and the other. And you guys that know,
we know
that shit happened.
Yeah.
So at my house, watching that game was the most surreal moment ever. Because one, he just got called up, like, he's not going to go in, and Garza won't be in the game when he comes in. And then when he came in, and then he didn't throw him a slider, he threw him a heater, and he bounced it in the 5-6 hole. It was like, you could see Garza with his glove over his mouth, like talking shit to him, and Sean just laughing. But yeah, that was, so those moments in sport, or the time I just in Seattle, watch Albert get his 3,000, because I go visit my nephews who live in Tacoma, and I happen to go when they play the Angels every time.
Make sure that date.
Yeah.
It lines up there.
Which I was supposed to go when they played the Red Sox this year, but that didn't happen. But, I just feel really blessed to be able to have those experiences. And then even from there, like, meeting people there, like, I had a good buddy who lives in Buffalo, Indiana. It's just North Carolina, just that you meet at these that are regular humans, but because of sport, you get to talking. And what really crazy one was this last week. I drove up to Idaho because I just needed to get out. So it's a long drive. I recommend it, but it's long, especially from Reno to Oregon. Might as well be on the moon. But we're in this ranch in the middle of Cambridge, Idaho, which is like an hour 45 north of Boise. And one of the families I was helping in this roundup, license plate Idaho, RDX fan. So I'm like, Red Sox fan. Yeah, I'm in the middle of Idaho. So I was talking to this guy, and he's like, yeah, my buddy's with the Rangers. Right? So my head's like cranking, like, Marcus's, but it's got to be Austin Bibbins-Dirks, because he's the only dude I know from here. I said, is it Austin? He's like, yeah, Bibbins-Dirks, you know him. Like, it's my boy's boy. Like, he's the reason, like, he got a job in Venezuela. It's like, here we go again, sport. Like, how could you not love sport?
Small world, man.
Tiny world when you're in Cambridge, Idaho with 700 people, and you meet this dude that knows Marcus's boy, Bibbins-Dirks. Yeah, so appreciate, you guys having me on here today. I'm not trying to end it, but just
dude, I'll tell you what. Legit. We talked about having you on back when we did Marcus then.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to do it again. That's for sure. Where can people get a hold of you for your personal stuff? Are you?
Yeah, they can. I'm like almost as busy as I can be right now, but I'm always open like this, like to talk to people and just share. And the same for me. Like, I don't take myself too serious, but I take what I do real serious. Yeah. And sometimes people come off a little different, which is fine. But they can contact me on DIB Family. That's the Instagram account. Or, worst comes to worst. Not worst comes to worst, but I don't want to put my cell phone out there. But
no, it's all good.
DIB Family is the best one. Or if you go through the Baseball Academy, they know how to get all my cards are in there. But yeah, at the end of the day, like you said, just sharing that with people. Like, I was able to do that at North a couple years ago, the mindset stuff. And like I said, it's 100% of the kids aren't going to grasp it, and that's fine. But if 2 of them do, then I'm ecstatic. Because like I said, you can apply it to what you do right now.
Yeah.
What you're doing right now, or your family life.
Yeah.
You need to apply it today.
I needed it.
Well, no, and that's why I get passionate.
Getting beat today.
I get passionate about it because I think about it in my own life. Like, man, if I wouldn't have grasped that concept, which is an obvious concept, but how often when you're driving do you let your mind just run? Again, rhetorical. You don't have to answer, or something's irking at you. And, like I'd say when I'm at the academy, 97% of our, parents and our kids, all good, they get it. And there's always going to be a 3%. If I focus on the 3%, I'm not going to enjoy this. So I need to focus on the 97, because no matter what I do, the 3% ultimately is out of my control. When you're coaching or, having a discussion with your wife or whatever, right? I don't have a wife. That's why I could travel and do all those things. But, to be able to take a step back, like, hey, what's controllable? Did I make the best decision there? Yes, no, whatever. And what's not controllable, why would I waste energy worrying about something that's out of my control? which we all do. I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
But when you grasp that and you have that little bubble in there to go to when something's just grinding your gears, like take a breath. Chad just did.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about coaching this last couple of years.
Yeah, no, and I had them. I was at Union with Garza 2 years ago, but at the end of the day, there's some really good, great kids out there that I'm so thankful that I got to work with, and they got to know me, that I'm friends with to this day, that reach out, whether it's text message or social media. And for me, like I said, is to share things. I'm not over here like, oh, I got this gold nugget and I'm gonna keep it, right? Like share it, and it comes back full circle, to really enrich your own life. It's not like I'm instructing again at City, but it's really been a blessing, from going from Eastern California, and I ended up working in Florida. You guys know that, and of course I gravitated to baseball because they didn't have a facility yet. The cage was above the gym inside. So my office was underneath it. So if I heard some pings, I went up top. But yeah, West Palm Beach. If you get a chance to go on a visit there, go. If you get a chance to go on a visit to any SEC school, go. Yeah, that's a whole nother animal. We can talk about that next time.
No, yeah. I appreciate it, man. Like I said, we've been trying to set this one up for a while. It's been hard not being able to get people live in here. Before we go, though, I did want to say we're still thinking about the Bennett family, and it's been a rough week. Chad and I were talking, was it like Tuesday? Just we didn't have the motivation.
Yeah.
Like it's just
DIB had a loss too.
We did.
Sam Stidham, which is Brian's stepdad, passed away, I think, the day before.
He passed away last Friday. A hell of a guy that, if I must, give me a second. Sam is a dude that volunteered his time from day one, and we would not been able to do what we were able to do at DIB Baseball Academy if it was not for Sam and Donna. And just a class, like I call him my great uncle because he reminded me of my great uncle. But he always was have a little piece of candy in his pocket for a kid at first base. He really worked with our 13-year-old team the most since they were 10, 11. But yeah, that was a tough one. But you know what I took from it, and like I share with Brian and other people that have called me about it, is I'm so thankful to have met him because, again, of sport, man. If I never got to, whether it's 5 years or 10 minutes, whatever it was, I'm super thankful because he had a huge impact on me on the way I interact with the kids, and then he had a huge impact on everyone there. And then with Coach Bennett, and then even at Fresno High, that assistant coach passed away.
So I'm happy. Yeah, I talked to him briefly yesterday, but it's been a tough week, and
I think 2020 just needs to leave.
Tough.
So
It's been a bad year.
Yeah, but to spend that hopefully in a positive way is the people that you have right now. Like, and that's what I'm thankful with Sam. He and I, once he got diagnosed, we had a couple conversations. I was able to give him a hug, and as much as he wasn't like immediate family, he's family to me. Will always be DIB family. But other people that may watch this today, and you have someone you got a little BS beef with, like, really? Like, at the end of the day,
not important.
At the beginning of the night, right? Whatever you want to, spin it is like, let's enjoy this time. Like, people, you like, let them know it's not cool to say, man, I love you, bro. That's okay. That's not weak, because when someone's gone, that's it. And with the COVID situation, thankfully, Coach Bennett had family around. And Sam's situation, he's at the VA in Palo Alto. That's tough. I don't get emotional again, but he was there with himself.
Yeah. And
that's a tough deal, man. That's the thing I struggled with the most for that last weekend, was just that realization of, anybody, you put yourself in that situation with a family member, it's a tough deal with this situation that we have going on. So even more so, I stress it even more so, just to be thankful and tell people that you care about them. You ever had someone say, man, Chad, I appreciate you, and you were pissed off they told you that? Right?
Not often.
Right? When it's genuine, man, it's a beautiful thing, and I'm thankful for sport because of that. Because again, like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for sport. I wouldn't never met Chad, let alone both you guys, So I'm super thankful when it comes to that. So hopefully we get sports rolling again and playoffs.
Yeah, for sure, man. Baseball. We need it. Drew, thanks again, man. It was a pleasure having you, and we will be doing it again. That's episode 61, Hit.OR.DIE podcast.
Hit or die.